Hey everyone, this is the second of my 3 extra videos for Twilight Imperium 4th edition. If you want to see my strategy video where I rank the usefulness of the different strategy cards on the first round, well, that's exclusively available on my Patreon, so check that out. Today I'm going to be talking about the transition from 3rd edition to 4th, and specifically my top 5 things that they did right this time around. So let's jump right in. I love 3rd edition, but the tech tree in that game is garbage. There, I said it, I'm not ashamed of it, and I think a lot of people would agree with me. This thing was the worst. It was so hard to navigate that I had to find a fan-made tech tree to play with, and even the easier one wasn't that much better. Now the new system with the tech cards and the prerequisites, it's simple, it makes sense, and it just makes for a better game. Trade and commodities. I love this new system. In 3rd edition, everyone got trade agreement cards, 2 cards with specific numbers based on your faction that you could give to other players. And it was a little bit limiting. See, now we have commodities, which serve the same function, but they give you a lot more freedom to trade the way you want to. And now you aren't punished if everyone else has good trade potential and you don't. I mean, you might not get as many trade goods, but unlike having 2 one-point trade agreements, if you only make 2 commodities, there's still a decent reason to trade with you. This might be my favorite change of the game. I always like passing laws in 3rd edition, but having the agenda be voted on in the middle of the action phase really slowed things down. Oftentimes I felt like players would be rushing through the vote just to get back to the action, but now you really get to take your time and debate. And there's 2 agendas to vote on. And you choose how many votes you spend for each agenda. It's so good! While I don't think that every strategy card from vanilla 3rd edition needed an overhaul, there's one that definitely did, and that's Imperial. Imperial was just too powerful. It dictated the course of the game without offering any real flavor. The new Imperial is tied to what you're doing in the game, which is always going to be more interesting. And the other big change for me is construction, which I really like. The rules for creating space docks was always a little overcomplicated, and this way you can focus your resources on ships instead, which means bigger fleets on the board and bigger fights to be had. And now all of the strategy cards got updated a little bit, some more than others, and in every case, I think they're better off for it. But those 2 are my favorite additions to 4th. I've touched on this a bit, but the overall simplification of certain rules is a big deal. Now, the game is obviously still very complicated, but the rules aren't needlessly complex. I've already talked about the changes to the technology system. That's a big one, but there's a lot of little things that are just designed better this time around. For example, in 3rd edition combat, if you were attacking someone, you could announce a withdrawal, but if you were defending, you would announce a retreat. But they follow the same rules, so why would you call them something different? Now it's just retreat. Another example is that they've brought the number of steps in a tactical action down from 7 to 5, which, I mean, yeah, they're still the same things, but when you tell a new player that the most basic thing in the game has 7 potential steps, that's pretty daunting. Overall, I think that 4th edition is a lot more beginner-friendly, and while the argument could be made that the loss of complexity alters the strategy bit, I think in the end it's a welcome change. So those are my top 5 changes from 3rd to 4th edition. Let me know what your favorite new things from 4th edition are in the comments below. Next week I'll be talking about my favorite things from 3rd that unfortunately didn't make the cut. And if you want to watch the exclusive strategy video, that's on the Patreon for $5 backers. You can also go back and watch my 3rd edition strategy videos, which I'll link in the description box below, because a lot of those tips still hold up. Bye!